Yeah, welcome to the MLB Network podcast. I'm Matt Vasgersian. We're going to have some fun today. This is really going to be great because our guest is not only one of my favorite players to have watched, and I watched every game he played for his two-year run in San Diego, but over 17 years, this dude did so much. 3 Gold Gloves, All-Star appearances. One of only 18 guys to hit 4 homers in a big league game. Mike Cameron is our guest on the podcast today. Cam, good to see you. Welcome.
Matty, it's a pleasure. Always, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm glad to be one of your favorites, too. Sorry.
You were, for sure. I mean, you played with such grace, and you're one of those dudes, and I've said this about you a lot, that you can look at the numbers, you can look at the stat sheet. Yeah, he was good, man. Played 17 years, made an impact. You're one of those guys that you had to have your eyes on. So for scouts, like people that think they can just digest the game on a stat sheet, no, you're the perfect example of a guy that you had to watch play. We'll love on you a little bit later. I want to ask you about some of these Hall of Famers, dude, because the Hall of Fame class this year, Ichiro, CC, and all the guys on the ballot, this is right in your career, right in the heart of your people. You played with Ichiro. You played with CC. So let's start with those two guys. Give us an anecdote, a story on one or both of those guys that was either funny or impactful for your career.
I mean, obviously, we'll start with CC. I've spent a year, a short period of time in Milwaukee with CC, and when he came over, I had faced CC many a times and been successful a little bit. When he first came along, but when this guy came over when they made a trade over from Cleveland to get him to Milwaukee, we took off as a team. We had a real identity. We had a actual, I wouldn't call it a little dog, but we had a big dog in CC, and the way he took him going into his free agency also, this guy was pitching like it was like 1960 something. He was going every 3 days. You know, it was just kind of crazy to be able to get into that. And we all gravitated to one another. You know, obviously me, myself, Craig Counsell, Jason Kendall, being in the elder statesman group, but having, you know, Prince Fielder, Ricky Weeks, Ryan Braun, Billy Hall, Tony Gwynn Jr., we had so many guys. Ray Durham came over, so obviously Ray fit in that elder statesman group. But, you know, CC was just so dominant, man, in the National League. And the guy could rake. So that made him very, very beneficial to us. And we made to playoffs basically since like 1982 or something. Right. So I think I was only like 9 years old. I was still sitting in my chair watching cartoons and eating Cheerios or Fruit Loops or whichever cereal choice it was at that particular time. Hey, so having CC, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
But just having CC on that team and knowing him for a long time, him and Amber, with Amber being, I think, pregnant with the last one, at that time. So it was pretty amazing to experience that with him.
And then, you know, CC signs with the Yankees, wins a World Series, and kind of cements his case as a first ballot guy. When you played with Ichiro, you were probably aware from the jump that this dude was different and that he was going to be in the Hall of Fame. And we've talked about this too, like the magnitude of his stardom. There was a bounty out for a nude picture of this guy in Japan. That's what a big deal he was. What was it like being a teammate of Ichiro in those days?
It was like playing with the Michael Jackson of baseball, man. It was like, or you know, I say the Michael Jackson. It could be Michael Jordan, but playing with Ichiro, man, really changed my view on how one particular player at that time carried a country. Like he carried a country with his style of play. I've never seen so much media in my life. Even when I was in New York, I never saw that much media with one guy in particular where they follow your every move, and seeing how he handled it at the tender age of 27 years old, knowing that he was the most important dynamic to Japanese baseball coming here at that particular time as a position player. Obviously, they already had it with Noma, doing it from the pitching aspect, but Ichiro really carried a lot of weight in that time, and man, he was special, bro. He was really special. Probably one of the biggest things that I remember about Ichiro is that his work ethic, his ability to uh, uh, be prepared in the utmost way at every single day, even on his off days. I mean, there was something to do all the time. The word that they go by in Japan, and he uses very much so, it's called kaizen, which means never ending. And I think he takes those words to true heart because he's probably working out right now on his machines, or he's swinging like he's getting ready for the season himself to get another 215 20 hit season. But that's Ichiro in a nutshell, man. And now he's kind of taking that aptitude to press Julio into these levels and making sure that he remains and becomes the star that he's supposed to with the talent that he has.
How about the fact that dude played his whole career here and used the interpreter, but spoke pretty sneaky good English, better than you and me, right? Did you communicate with him in English?
Oh, heck yeah. English and Spanish.
Really?
Like, yes, he knows a lot more. He knows Spanish, too. A lot more than some guys that claim they know Spanish that speak English. And, I mean, that's Ichiro, though. Like, this dude was sneaky funny. He had a lot of dry humor about himself. And, he was my locker mate, so I talked cash mess to him all the time. I used to, trying to get him to dance, doing different things. And there are some things that I won't be able to share on this podcast right now because there are water cooler, in the clubhouse type of stuff. But, one of the things, with Ichiro was he never really showed like true emotions. So we tried to get him to show these emotions, get him to laugh all the time. I really tried to do that a whole lot. We would really share these crazy stories on the bus ride. So, just kind of like you can actually take your hair down and then you can take your cape off and put it in the closet and everything will be good on this bus ride or in the clubhouse before you have to go in and give them a stone cold face and everything. So
right.
One of the things I know, just remember when we first was playing, Matty, we were in spring training and obviously Lou Piniella was our manager. And when Lou is always he's a hitting coach first, more than a manager. And so he was standing on the top step, and Ichiro kept hitting high choppers over our dugout in spring training on the third base side. He wanted to get an up close and personal look at Ichiro. Obviously, he knew the guy could hit, but he was looking for this, like, see if he had any. Lou loves power, and he wanted to see if Ichiro had any kind of power. But Ichiro was determined to hit the ball between short and third, third and the base, and a lot of foul balls in the dugout and over in the stands, foul balls. So I think he had ground that out some shit in this one particular day. It was spring training. I think about a couple of weeks or whatever, maybe a week or two. And Ichiro hits a chopper and Luke, and just like he says to Mac, but he says it very loud. He says, Mac, which is our third base coach, John McLaren, or the bench coach, John McLaren. And he said, is this guy going to ever hit a doggone ball? Can I see you pull a ball one time, son? And Ichiro kind of turns his head and he looks and he's like, you're talking to me? Like, really? You're talking to me? But he didn't say any words. He just gave that motion. Ichiro always put 2 tongue depressors on the bench and tape them on the bench and made his own bat rack. So he put his 2 little bats in between these 2 tongue depressors. So he goes up his next AB. He hits a bomb in Peoria, Matty. He hits it over the bullpen. And everyone is going crazy. He's running around the bases. He's just his normal self. He comes in and everybody's giving him a high five. He's taking his batting gloves off. He's taking his helmet off, keeping his gloves, keeping his glasses on very perfect. He said, he gets ready to sit down and he goes like this. So how do you like that? And everybody just died laughing.
That's so good.
Everybody everybody died laughing, man.
That's
Everybody
so
died
good.
laughing.
Oh, I love it.
And from that point on, Lou never said another word to him.
I would
I mean,
imagine. Oh.
he was special. He was a very special player. I got a chance to see him for 3 years, man, and it was the most unique thing I ever seen. I guess I got a chance to play against Wade Boggs and Tony Gwynn, some of these very high volume hit guys at that particular time. And man, was he special with the bat and go consistent in what he was doing considerably every single day.
Mike Cameron made his major league debut with the White Sox in 1995. And now that Mike's all grown up and his own son is a big league player, I'm wondering, Cam, because you posted this, what do you think? what does current Mike Cameron think about this dude back in the day?
Myself or the guy, this guy who follows me on Twitter posted this, and I was like, man, where are you finding these pictures at? Because I have no idea what these pictures are. And I guess, that was one of those ones that, you're like, you're kind of puzzled where this comes from, because I was actually talking about that top, that BP top that I was chasing this top, and I have been chasing it for a couple of years. And when I finally got a chance to get to the big leagues, that was the first thing I wanted, because on the back, it has your number on there. And I used to see those guys in spring training like, man, I want one of those top. And I mean, look, we're talking 96 or something like that. So that's old news. Matty, obviously the gear has gotten so much better. But that was the thing that I was chasing at that particular time.
Yeah, there's so many ways I could go here, ask you your favorite uniform and all that stuff. And I guess we'll go here because I teased this going to break. You get traded a couple times in your career. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I want to talk about that night in a Mariner uniform when you became one of just a handful of players, and there have only been 18 to do it in the big leagues, to have a 4-homer game. And I guess what fans might not remember about this is that it was almost a 5-homer game. Yeah, we hear stories about the ball looking like a grapefruit when you're swinging it well and you're seeing it well. What was it that night for you?
Basically, just part of those things that you described. I had already had a pretty good series already, and this was a getaway day. I actually played very well against the White Sox in my career. It was just something that I felt like I had to do every time I played against them, since I think they traded me so early, which the trade actually worked out very well, because Konerko is obviously a borderline Hall of Famer. But me going back to Chicago was like, I needed to do something special every time. I'm not even lying. I mean, I felt like I needed to do something special every time. So my focus and my intensity was so high that this day right here was like a getaway day moment, and it gave me an opportunity to just kind of, put the exclamation point on the series that we I think we were going to win anyway. And man, after that first at bat, it seemed like everything slowed down. The ball was very slow coming out of the guy's hand, and it felt like, the ball was on the tee. And when you seeing the ball that well, you still may not be able to get 4 balls in the air. You may not get 4 balls in the air in batting practice. Yeah. And on May 2nd, 2002, it was cold that night. So one thing I was doing is try to stay warm. But, man, I saw the ball very well, and I put some good swings on the baseball that particular day. And I also robbed the grand slam from my buddy, Maglio Ordonez, in that time, too. That's
right.
So,
that's right.
But this day was very special, man. I couldn't have even ever imagined doing something this manner. Little old me, whatever.
We were just talking about Hall of Fame players. Did any of that stuff, any of that gear, a bat, a batting glove, any of that get to Cooperstown?
Yes. Obviously, I was using Edgar Martinez's bats at that time.
Didn't know that.
Yes. And I think they took like my jersey and the bat and my hat, I think, of that nature. So maybe the batting gloves also. So there's some pieces up there that I get a chance to see when I go to Cooperstown.
So when people see the display in Cooperstown of Mike Cameron's 4-home run game, you got the Cameron jersey, gloves, but it's a bat that says Edgar Martinez on it.
Yeah, it probably has 44 on the knob of it.
Wow.
Yeah, like man, Edgar used to get the best bats in baseball back then. So I made sure that I took advantage of playing with him, Jay Buhner and A-Rod. I made sure I got some of the best bats myself when I got a chance to go to Seattle.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I
Yeah.
want to wind back now because you talked about being traded by the White Sox to the Reds
Yes.
for Paul Konerko. Is it true that you
Yes.
learned about that trade watching TV and seeing it scroll across the screen?
Yeah, I was in the Dominican Republic playing winter ball. And I was actually doing my laundry that day and just happened to be watching TV and the ticker tape comes across and my name's on the bottom of it. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, seriously, like what happened? Like, what happened to the courtesy call or something? And, obviously the guy who was the manager down there was, gosh, I forgot what his name is, Dave Molly or something like that. And obviously I got a chance to talk to Jim Bowden, those guys per se. But I took that to heart, man. It really hurt me that no one could actually call me because I was actually playing winter ball because of the season that I had, going forward. Going into the 99 season, I was like, I need to make some changes, let me get better. And I went to winter ball and played very well. And I got traded in the midst of it. And to this day, no one still said a word about getting traded.
And then lightning strikes again, and you get traded a year later in a very high-profile deal, no pressure. We're going to have you come in here and replace Ken Griffey Jr. in Seattle. I can't imagine what that was like. And you were like 27 years old at the time?
26.
Okay.
I was 26.
You'd been around in the big leagues before. People knew who you were, but that has to be just a pressure-packed thing for you.
Yeah, because I had just, Matty, got with a really good team in Cincinnati. We won 96 games and didn't make the playoffs. With Barry Larkin, Poker Reese, Sean Casey, Aaron Boone were third, Aaron Thomasy, just in the room behind the plate. With myself, Michael Tucker, Dimitri Young, Greg Vaughn, and Jeffrey Hammonds, and playing in the outfield was one of the best teams, some of the best fun I had in the game since I was a rookie, getting ready to come back up, and to see that, we were all young. We were all like 25, 24, 26 range, with Vaughn, and Barry Larkin and Harold Morris being the ever statesman guys, but we were good and we were young and we were ready to take over the Houston Astros and they knew we were coming, but we fell a little bit short, and so we end up doing that, and then I get traded, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do in Seattle? We're talking about a, 50th, the all-time great team, that Junior was on. Like, what am I gonna do? What can I possibly do? What can I possibly do? All these guys around me, they're just there. I love, Tom Crow and the other guys, but I'm the one who actually got to replace the guy that played this position right here.
Right.
And I got a little time, and look, I got traded on February 9th. I was getting ready to go to an arbitration hearing down in Florida, and everything changed. I didn't have spring training in like Peoria, Arizona, or Phoenix, Arizona. I was in Tucson for a year, but I'm in Arizona. I don't know what. I got a younger daughter, so my daughter was just born in August of '99. So man, like it was just so much going on, and I was nervous. I'm not even gonna lie, and I didn't have the mental health skill guys that these guys have today. It's definitely an experience that I wouldn't wish on nobody because it was trial and error every day. Two of the best things that I ever had was like, having good family and also having good team support. And it got me through Seattle that first year because I figured that, I may not be able to hit 50 home runs, but I can hit, 25, 15, 20, 25 homers. I can play defense with anybody and I can run, So what I don't do in the home run department, I know I can do this. I just got to stay focused. And man, it worked out so good. I played very well that first year. Lou brought Ricky Henderson in. I had Mark McLemore, I had Jay Benner, I had all these guys, man. A-Rod, supporting cast, Ola Rule, David Bell. So we had all the supporting cast there for me just to kind of thrive. And I had a great time. We made the playoffs. We played the White Sox. We put them out of the playoffs, so it was extra special to me.
Yeah.
We swept them. And man, everything just kind of went well for me. The people took me in. I was blessed to be able to spend 4 years out there because it changed my mindset about the game. It hardened my mental aspect on being confident in yourself, because I could have really just bottomed out, after with that type of pressure applied to you to play the game of baseball under a future Hall of Famer at that particular time, man. So
for sure.
I thank Junior all the time when I talk to him, like, man, I'm so glad that you wanted to go to Cincinnati, and it was me that went there to Seattle because I got a real home with the people in Seattle, and we had good teams there. We just never were able to finish the job against those stubborn Yankees in the 90s back early in 2002.
0-1 team was so good. Yeah, and that was your all-star year for sure. Over 17 years, Mike Cameron played at a super high level for no fewer than 8 different teams in his career. He was at some places longer than others. 2 years with the Mets. And before we went to break, Cam, we were talking about some of the adversity that you've had to get through in your career, being traded for Ken Griffey Jr., being traded as a young guy and finding out about it while you were in the Dominican watching TV. What about playing through injury? Because I think a lot of players watching this would be very curious as to how you came back from a terrible incident in 2005 in the outfield at Petco Park, and you would call that outfield home the next year when you were involved in a collision, and this is no fun to watch, folks. I'm sure you don't like watching it to this day. How'd you come back from this, Cam?
Honestly, Marty, I have no idea. Just the graces of God to to be able to still don a major league uniform after that particular setting, because it impacted so much of my mind. I was inches away from getting hit in my temple. I was inches away from breaking my neck. Inches away from losing a right eye. So with all those things hit upon me that I didn't know about, I was still looking for 2 weeks ago. As I stood there on the morphine telling everybody that, oh man, I'll be all right. I'll be back in a couple of weeks. And I didn't know the extent of how I looked for one way, and didn't know the extent. Just like, I'll have like a little concussion or a little cut somewhere or whatever it may have been. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks. And the look on the doctor's face said different. And that's what I know that, this thing was very serious as it was. And me coming back was nothing I could do but just feel, from having the concussion to my eye being, kind of like knocking my retina loose, a little bit. My whole eye was just blood black. I don't even know what I couldn't see. Having 9 places screws in your face, and just having a headache that was so massive every day for a long time, and having your mouth wide shut, losing 25, 30 pounds. So I don't even know how I began to do it. I was just trying to get better, At that time, I was just trying to get better for my kids. I didn't want them to see that was my last opportunity, or them seeing the last image of me was laying on the ground. And because they wouldn't allow me to get up, and I couldn't get up. And just going through that, just healing. And then having the opportunity or the ability to say, hey, I could probably play here again, but I won't be able to do it. I don't know if I'll be the same player here. I appreciate the opportunity, If you guys desire, you can try to move me. And the most craziest thing happened in the world. I get moved to the place where I got hurt at. And I'm like, that's when I started having PTSD. And but I was still excited that I got a chance. The doctor said I'll make a full recovery. It may take a little longer for your face to heal, or your eyes may not ever be the same, which they weren't. But I was gifted enough to still be able to come back. No working out, no training because I couldn't run because of my head trauma. I couldn't really do much because I got my blood pressure up. My head would start hurting, and things just wasn't right. Couldn't really swing a whole lot because of just having my mouth wide shut. So there was just so much that went into that. I'm thankful. San Diego was like my rebirth, so to speak. Could have came at a better time coming out of the madness of New York, and going there, but still frightened enough to know that I got to go to this place where I got hurt at to play baseball again. And just got comfortable with that and myself. And basically, just grabbed the bull by the horns, Matty, man, and said, okay, this may or may not work out, but I'm going to give it my best because I don't know, after going through that, I know anything can happen in this game. I'm just going to play my butt off the best that I can and do what I can for the team. And I still feel like, to this day, that I should have got the comeback player of the year, although that Nomar had a little bit better year average-wise or whatever in LA. But I'm just like, man, I don't think anybody went through what I went through and came back and played baseball.
No more. He didn't have his face shattered in the outfield. No. And look, it's like two different things, Cam, because you have to get stronger physically. You had to get over the headaches and the physical part of it. And appreciate the transparency there as to the mental part of this. And I think that's where people are so interested in how a player comes back from that. And then you get traded to that very same outfield. And by the way, I watched every game that season, dude. I would have had no idea that you had a hard time because you had one of the best years of your career in 2006 and led the Pods to the postseason that year. It didn't look like it bothered you at all.
Well, that is a lot, that has to do out, I guess away from the ballpark. Going through some of the things I already went through, just being blessed and thankful. Actually, my whole family decided to have a family reunion out there in San Diego. I lived in La Jolla Beach. I lived by the water. Everything just kind of aligned for me to be comfortable to do it and not have the madness of New York back on me and understanding what that was like and coming to a smaller safe haven, man, and just allowed me to flourish a little bit. And then I was determined to show people that, hey, man, I move for the benefit of the team to right field. I can actually play this position over here. And sure enough, I won a Gold Glove out there the first year while dealing with these emotional things. And but it made me just that much better as a person. It made me, I never was not appreciative of the game. It made me greatly appreciative of everything of the game and going through those things. And my kids got a chance to see me play. It worked out good.
And that's super inspirational stuff. But be honest, it was also probably nice getting out of New York because you got to get away from Cliff and you got to get away from Cliff's bling room, which you were a reluctant party to. What is he doing?
Some things never change. And look, I think he's working this week up there too. You see me sitting in the back like, man, I don't got that kind of stuff. I don't really wear this kind of stuff. I didn't start wearing stuff like this till I played in New York with this guy. And I had like a couple watches and a couple chains, and this guy's over here like we had Zales jewelry out here and stuff, man. I'm like, what? And like, this is not my type of deal, but I'll run with it.
There's a chance he's
That's
going
my boy, though.
There's a chance he's going to run in here right now and grab this microphone away from me, because you're right. He's in the building today. Let's do some quick hitters, Cam. Give me quick responses to a bunch of questions here, because this stuff's fun. Favorite ballpark to hit in?
Chicago White Sox.
Makes sense. I get that. I get that, but we don't need to explain that one all. What about favorite outfield to roam in?
Ooh, San Diego, LA, Anaheim. One of the beautiful places.
Give them the West Coast. No rain.
Yeah.
Who was the toughest pitcher you ever faced?
Toughest pitcher I ever faced was Randy Johnson. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they are terrible. And I only got him when he turned like 40 years old, man. I mean, he abused me as a young kid when I was with the White Sox and early on. I'm talking about abuse, man.
Well, you're in good company. He did that to everybody for the most part. Best hitter that you ever played with? You already talked about Ichiro. Was there somebody better than him?
I mean, I'll tell you, Frank Thomas. So,
oh, yeah.
Like, all around, you know. In between Frank Thomas and Edgar Martinez, man. Now, obviously, I played with A-Rod, too. So, it's crazy.
A Hall of Fame company there, man. All right, what's a better feeling for Mike Cameron, hitting a homer or robbing a homer?
Well, I love robbing home runs because it benefits the team. But, man, is it a joy to hit a homer and have everybody celebrate you. I love it. I love hitting the homers, walk-off homers, all of that stuff.
That's good. Did you have the same clubhouse music or walk-up music during your career? And if you didn't, what was your favorite?
No, I changed a lot. According adapting to what area I was, what team I was. I tried to have fun with it. You know, when I played in Milwaukee, I tried to have, when it got to be summertime, I tried to have some of that crazy rock music, 80s rock music a little bit. Take me down to Paradise City, a little bit of T.I. I had everything, man. So, it was kind of cool to be able to enjoy things of that nature. And when I had in New York, I tried to get the music with the most bass in it because they had the loudest speaker that you could possibly play at Old Shea Stadium. So it just varied wherever I got a chance to go to.
That's good. I want to hit you on this before we run out of time because June 23rd is a day. I'm not sure you're even aware of this. Does June 23rd do any? 23rd.
What year? What year?
Just June 23rd in general. Does that do anything for you? I'll explain in a second if it doesn't ring a bell.
June 23rd. Man, you got me on
Here
this one.
Here it is. This is kind of cool. You hit your third career big league homer in June 23rd of '97. And your boy Daz hit his third career big league homer June 23rd, 2021. Give me what you got on being the dad, a guy who played in the big leagues for 17 years, and watching Daz and getting him into the big leagues and grinding on his career.
It's a blessing in disguise. I'm very proud of him. I know his career so far hasn't been as he's seen that it should be. But I told him, I said, man, your career and your journey is a lot different than mine. Enjoy it. I know the game is very difficult. I'm always here for you. You've been great so far. And just appreciate the opportunity that you get a chance to don these clubhouses that you're doing now as you did when you were a kid. So the blessing in that, man, is just I get a chance to watch him do it. I'm happy for him. We've crossed paths in some history stuff a couple of times, and it's just a blessing to be able to see a kid go through it because we know how difficult the game is. I know how difficult it is. I try to give him my wavering support all the time, Matty, and I'm happy for him. He's been to a couple of places already. I've tried to explain that to him about the business of baseball. And hopefully he's going to get a chance to play with a team this year that compete for a playoff spot and, possibly something deeper on a playoff run, maybe a World Series in Baltimore.
Yeah, we wish him well, man. And as difficult as the game is, and we know it, you made it look easy when you played, Cam. We appreciate you, dude. You're one of my favorites to watch, and it's great to be back in touch with you. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Always, Matty. Anything for you, brother. Thank you.
Best. That'll do it for this edition of the MLB Network podcast. Thanks to Mike Cameron. I'm Matt Vasgersian. Thanks for tuning in.